Hey guys, this is Wei, and welcome to My Way to Cook. I was gonna do another sort of experimental pasta dish, but I chose not to, and instead do some dumplings, not because my coworker told me that my last pasta was a disgrace to all pastas. Let's just put it that way. But instead, because one of my friends on Facebook made some dumplings last night, and I wanted dumplings. So here we go. I'm gonna do pot stickers. I don't remember exactly if she did pot stickers or boiled dumplings, but I think they were pot stickers. But yeah, anyways, I'm in New York. This is the Flushing area. We can get this brand. I'm personally a big fan of this particular brand. They do a good job of having just the right amount of thickness on the wrapper. Usually they are either too thin for my liking, or they're too thick and they're for boiling. So I personally sort of prefer this particular style. So we're just going to put all the dumpling in here. I kind of like to lay it out in a decent order, with the flat side facing the bottom. That's probably how you know it's a pot sticker style instead of just a boiling style, is that they do give you a nice flat side to stand it up on. And this particular bag makes, I think for me, just a little bit over one dinner's worth. I could save a few, but I think I'll save just a few for next time. There we go. And so what we're going to do is just turn the heat on high, get that rolling. And then again, I'm going to turn to my trusty Misto. I'm a big fan of this thing. You just have to like pump it a little bit, get some pressure in there, and then you can spray some oil. And then it drizzled at the end once the pressure runs out. I think you're only supposed to like fill it up less than halfway or something like that to get the best results, but either way, it's good enough for me to sort of figure out how to use it. There you go. So that is going to basically give it a little bit of coverage of the oil on the bottom, right? And then you put about a cup or so, I put a little bit more in here, but just about a cup of water into this pan, right? Enough to cover it about halfway, and you put the lid on it. And for me, it comes out like perfect around 7 minutes. So I'm gonna put 7 minutes on the clock, and then that's off, and that's gonna go. So we're not gonna sit here and look at this thing for 7 minutes. So what we're gonna do, I decided, is to do a little bit of a sauce on the side. So I'm gonna actually put this over here and let that go. Put this heat on low. Bring out another pan, and what we're gonna do is make a little bit of a aromatic, oh, that's dessert. Make a little bit of an aromatic sauce or toppings to go with the soy sauce and whatnot later. So since, again, I forgot if I mentioned it, my mom told me this trick. Basically you cut fresh, organic or whatever, like the most freshest herbs you can find at the supermarket, freeze it, and then it still smells as fresh and aromatic as the first day I got it. So take a little bit here. I have cilantro. I don't want too much of this since this is not really a soup. I do want a fair bit of spring onions. That should be nice. And then let's put this stuff back. I want to keep it as cold as possible. And then so any of the other aromatics that I kind of want for this particular thing, I have some garlic, which I'll put in a second. Let this thing warm up in this for now. Putting it very gently, gentle heat here. And so I don't want to burn anything. Let it lightly melt and then put a little bit of oil in there and get it sizzling before we put the other ones in there. There we go. Since this is frozen, the water content is just starting to melt. Right? Nice. And cool. And goes in the garlic. I don't want too much of the water in there while I have oils in there. And this is not really like an oily sauce that I want to do. I just want to sort of toast the aromatics a little bit, just to give it a little bit of that toasted aroma and flavor, lightly oiled. Right now everything's dry. So black pepper. I don't need any salt because we're going to be putting soy sauce on this thing. So even the low heat, even on the very, very low heat, you can smell the aromas coming together. Yeah, and then so again, I'm going to put some of the misto, so it's going to cover everything evenly. Okay. The dumplings are starting to boil. I'm not sure if you can see that well. I got another 3 minutes on the clock there. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit more, maybe like medium-low. Make sure that everything is in fact cooking just a little bit. Yeah, there you go, starts to sizzle. And then I think, since we're going to be almost at time soon, I'm going to add a little bit of hot oil and sesame oil to give it just a little bit more flavor and aroma. And what I'm going to do is really keep the heat on low, or maybe just kill the heat altogether, just to keep it from smoking or anything like that, because I do believe the sesame oil has a pretty low smoke point, so I don't want to go anywhere near that. And as you can see, even with just like here, with very low heat, it's basically going to dry up the oils a little bit too. So I mean, it smells amazing. All right, put it on that just so it, okay, cool. A little bit of heat, very low. Sesame oil, hot pepper oil. Ooh, well, that's a bit too much. Oh well, you know, stuff happens. Oh man, the sesame oil smells amazing. You know what? That got me thinking. Why don't I just add a little bit, since we're toasting, why don't I add a little bit of sesame? I don't know, I'm sure you're not really supposed to do this, but I'm not really cooking traditionally or anything like that. I just do what I want, make it taste good. Again, our motto here is, you know, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for deliciousness. And this looks and smells delicious, so that's all I really care about. So I'm gonna turn that off. That's got 30 seconds on it, so I can basically start to prep that. gonna make a switch over here. Bring that over here. Turn that heat off. Turn this heat on. Okay. And then that'll sit. Cool. So this got another, well, actually, that's 7 minutes. At 7 minutes, you take this, open it up, and you let the air out, basically. On the highest heat setting, it doesn't take too long to basically boil out the water, and you can just let that go, basically. At the moment, there's still plenty of water, and so it's going to take a minute to basically let this thing boil off. I don't know if I want to edit the videos to make it go any faster, but at the moment I haven't edited any of my cooking videos. It's sort of just, it's a real-time experience. Let me know if you like that or not. I don't know. So yeah, pot stickers. Probably a little bit more water than I would have liked. Like I said, I had about a cup and a third in there, but you know, usually a cup is just fine. Yeah, okay. I'll just dump it a little bit. You don't need to dump everything completely dry. It's going to cook off very quickly. So I just dumped the water a little bit and then have a little bit of water left in this thing. And yeah, it's going to start to cook. At this point, if you didn't add much oil before, you could actually spray a little bit more or drizzle. It just depends on what you're going for. Sometimes I do find that it ends up being a little bit too oily if you drizzle. So a little bit of spray. Is nice. What happens here is that the water, as the water boils off, you need to have a little bit of that oil at the bottom so it gets a nice little crusty, you know, skin at the bottom once the water boils off. Now, as you can see now, all of a sudden the water starts to boil off really quickly. I'm going to turn the heat down to just regular high instead of power broil, or a medium high for some of you guys maybe. But just to control the heat a little bit so it doesn't suddenly burn everything. And you want to have like that nice golden brown skin without burning it. And so just control it a little bit, maybe a little bit higher for me. Alright, and at this point, you really don't want to disturb the dumpling. You don't want to be messing around with it. You want to make sure it cooks and gets that crust by itself, and sort of modulate the heat a little bit depending on what you can see is happening here. Alright, very nice. So one thing that I found with my particular, you know, pan is that there's more heat around the sides and less in the middle. And I think it's because more of the water goes in the middle, and so there's a little bit less heat transfer or something. But a lot of, you can see, maybe, I mean, I'm not sure the camera you can see very well, but in the edges here, it's already starting to get dry and a little bit crispy. Again, I want to turn the heat down just a tiny little bit. As you can see, once I start to shake it, it doesn't really like to move on the sides, but the middle is still moving around a little bit. So, you know, you're going to have a bit of a time to try and manage that. Now, as everything starts to dry off on the edges, I like to poke at maybe one of them and just to see what it looks like. And as you can see, it's just lightly brown. on the edges of the dumpling, but it's not quite there yet, I want to say. So I'll give it a few more seconds on the stove. All right. Cool. So if you want this to really present well, you would actually go around the edges and start flipping them so that the crusted side is facing up, and one of the other sides is sort of, you know, laying down and getting a little bit more of that heat. So, and you start around the outside and then you do the middle. But again, as I said, I like to be a little lazy with my food. I just want to eat it. So I'm going to sort of push that around, turn the heat up a little bit more, and start tossing. Now, you don't always get the perfect toss, and you don't know which ones, you know, it might take a second to figure out which ones are actually facing up, but you get a nice idea here. Do a few changes. There we go. Give it a few more seconds. And we're basically done. We're basically done. So here, everything's good. Put the heat on medium again so we're not burning anything. Although I think it's more than fine at this point. It's not burning anything anyways. So let's put that on the side. I'm now going to add this mixed sauce. Maybe not so much of the oil. I don't want too much of that particular oil in there. Just a light drizzle. Nice. Okay. And then toss it a little bit more. Very nice. Now you see it's very well coated. I can turn the heat off, not worry about it burning. It's going to be perfect. I'm going to get my bowl, and then I'm going to start to serve this. And basically at this point, you know, you could have decided to keep the dumplings on there a little longer to get a little bit more color. That's your preference. I don't particularly care to have it too brown. This looks like a nice golden color for me. Again, if you really want to make it perfectly presentable, you would want to have it brown on at least 2 sides. I've tried it on making it brown on 3 sides one time, and it took a little extra time, but it is doable. You would need one of those cooking chopsticks to do it, but it's absolutely doable. Now, this is fantastic. Smells amazing. So what I want to do now is add some soy sauce and some vinegar. So the ratios are all up to you. I used to love, this is Chinese, you know, dark vinegar. And then I guess I'll use the low sodium soy sauce since, again, coronavirus, we're inside, we're not doing much. So a little bit less on the sodium would be nice. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to like probably a 80-20 mix. And as I've grown older, I actually prefer the sourness of the vinegar a little bit more. So it's more like a 60-40 for the vinegar. So you want to just drizzle it. It's okay if you have it a little bit more, a little bit less. There's no measuring here. It's just whatever you like, right? And then for me, nowadays, I do a little bit less of the soy sauce, but plenty of flavor there, as you will get. Okay, so this is the final product. It's amazing. I'm very hungry now, and I will have a go at this. Okay, see you guys next time. This has been Wei with My Way to Cook. Ciao.